The Honda CRF250F is a fantastic beginner dirt bike, but is it the right fit for you? If you're watching this video, you're probably interested in learning more about the Honda CRF250F. I've posted quite a few videos on this bike after recently purchasing it. I love this bike, it's a fantastic motorcycle, but one of the comments I get the most, without fail, is people telling me their height and then asking me if the CRF250F is the right bike for them, if they're gonna fit on the CRF250F. In this video, I'll address some of those comments, and I'll talk about how tall I am and how the bike fits me personally. I'm also going to talk about some special cases and some mods you can do to make the bike fit better for you. At the end of the video, I'm going to talk about who the CRF250F is perfect for. What type of rider is this bike just perfectly made for? That'll be at the end of the video, so definitely stay tuned till the end to find that out. So before we get into it, if you do like this video, please give it a like and comment below your height, skill level, and kind of like what type of riding you plan on doing. And I'll let you know if this bike is a good fit for you. Also, if you enjoy these videos and you want to see more videos about the CRF250F, please be sure to subscribe to the channel because I'm going to be posting a lot more videos about this bike in the future. All right, so let's dive right into it. So the comments asking about height. Like I said, this is one of the most commented things on my CRF250F videos. And I think it's because a lot of you guys are beginner riders. This might very well be your first dirt bike. Here's a perfect example. This one person says, "How tall are you? I'm like 5'10" at 13 years old and want to get one as a first bike. I put my leg over one today and I think I had one side tiptoe." Now, 5'10" is definitely on the taller end. However, being that you're a beginner, I feel like the CRF250F is actually gonna fit you really well. You don't want something like a motocross race bike, which is gonna have a much taller seat height when you're first learning. Because if you're too high off the ground, although it might technically fit you better, you're gonna feel not so stable. You wanna have stable footing whenever you're kind of learning the basics and getting those basics down. So for this person, I would say, even though they are on the taller side, 5'10", at 13, they're definitely probably gonna grow more. I think this bike is great. A great starting point for them. A couple other people ask, would a 6'2", 6'3" person fit on this? I replied this. So my cousin is actually pretty tall. He's 6'4". He's ridden the bike and he loves it. Now it's definitely on the shorter side for him. So I'd definitely get a set of taller bars and taller suspension if you can swing it. It's not perfect, but it's doable. Once again, if you're a beginner rider, if you're just looking for something to putt around on, you're not looking to do anything competition-wise, you're just looking for something that's easy to ride around on, not intimidating, might be nice for some of your friends to get on it. It's kind of like a one-size-fits-all. Even if you're on the taller side, you're probably going to feel a little cramped, but if you get a set of taller bars, if you really want to, you can go for the, taller suspension, but it's definitely doable. Is it ideal for someone 6'2", 6'3", 6'4"? Definitely not. But can it be done? Yes. And someone else actually commented, no, it's not a good fit for them. They'll feel cramped. They said these bikes are 3/4 size bikes, so they're perfect for the shorter person. They say I'm 5'6" and it fits me perfectly. Beside their Husqvarna TE300, it dwarfs the CRF. So, they're totally correct. They say anyone over 6 foot would be cramped on it just by a normal size bike. Well, I agree with this. This is true. People over 6 foot tall are definitely going to feel a little cramped on it, but you can't really just say buy a normal size bike because some of the normal size bikes they're not the same type of bikes. If you want something that's just going to putt around and be really sort of like very beginner friendly, it's not going to rip out from under your hands. It's going to be something that's super chill and calm to ride and just fun to putt around on. Those full-size bikes, they'll do better on rougher terrain and things like that, but the engines on those bikes are going to be a lot more aggressive and they're not going to fit the style of riding if you want something that is easy to learn on and something that's nice to putt around on. If you want to get this bike and you feel like it's good to learn the fundamentals on, but you do have aspirations of maybe racing some hare scrambles in the woods and doing some competition on it, there are things you could do you know, if you're on the taller side when you first get it. For casual riding, it'll be fine. But if you want to kind of take it into the competition and you are taller and you don't want to buy a whole new bike, you want to just kind of get this bike and modify it to be what you want, I would recommend getting some taller bars and then watching Adventure Daily's video on mods for this bike, which I'll link below. Their video does a really good job at describing the suspension upgrades and all these other upgrades you can do to make this bike more of a enduro / competition style bike. It's not going to be perfect for that application, but it can be done. It can be turned into a bike that is at least fun to compete on. It's definitely not going to be super competitive compared to like bikes out of its class, but if you want to take it to the hare scrambles and race the trail bike class, putting these mods on is gonna definitely be able to do that. And like I said, the taller bars are gonna help out a lot for a taller rider. Back to that 5'10" kid that was 13, I think this bike is a great starter bike to learn the fundamentals. Eventually they're gonna wanna upgrade to a bigger bike. Alternatively, if you don't wanna go for something like the CRF250F, someone who's tall like that and a beginner rider, they could start on something like a 125 two-stroke. Now, the bike's gonna be a little more aggressive, but the engine is a smaller size and it's a little more beginner friendly than something like a 254 stroke or, you know, anything bigger, of course, and definitely not a 252 stroke. Those things will rip right out of your hands. But a 125, while it does have an aggressive engine, it's still a small size engine. So it's sort of beginner friendly, not as beginner friendly as the CRF250F, and it's certainly in a different class, but if they were looking to do motocross in the future or any sort of competition, you know, that would be a better middle ground bike to start on probably. Taller riders, taller than 6 foot, they should most likely look for a bigger bike. Only circumstances are if you're planning on modding it and you just want it for the type of power delivery that it has, like I mentioned before. Now, who is this bike perfect for? Because all the people that I mentioned previously were kind of like out of the ordinary use cases, right? Like these are people that kind of want this style of bike, but they're not really conventionally the right build for it. They're kind of out of the range that this bike is built for. So who is this bike perfect for? Well, in my opinion, I think this bike is perfect for beginner adults, people where it's their first time riding dirt bikes, but they're an adult. You're not gonna want something like a 110 or like a 125 trail bike, because those bikes are super small. People between like 5'3", that's on the shorter side for sure, and 6 foot, that's on the taller side. People kind of dead center in that range. Like for example, my girlfriend is 5'5". She fits perfectly on this bike. Like I'm talking her feet right where you want them on the ground. You know, they're not completely flat with her knees bent, and she's not like tippy-toeing on both feet. They're pretty solidly planted on the balls of her feet on the ground, and that's perfect for her to learn the fundamentals on. The bike doesn't feel super intimidating for her. It doesn't feel super tall. I put her on my YZ125 and my YZ250F, both tall motocross race bikes, and while she could ride them, she felt intimidated. They feel big for her. And when you go to stop and you're going at those slower speeds, it feels like you might lose your balance. This height of the CRF250F compared with its power delivery is perfect for beginner adults. So, you know, anywhere between, I said 5'3" to 6 foot, those are the extremes. I would say even closer to the range is probably gonna be anywhere from like 5'4" to 5'8", 5'10", somewhere around there. The CRF250F is gonna fit those people perfectly. So with all that being said, I hope you guys got some value out of this video, and I hope it clears up some of your questions. But, you know, if it didn't, certainly comment below. Let me know around how tall you are and what type of riding you are planning on doing and what your skill level is. And I'll be happy to reply to those comments and kind of give you guys my 2 cents on how this bike would fit you. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate all the support you guys have been giving in the last videos on this channel. If you want to see more in the future, definitely don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and drop a comment. It really helps me out. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Soup out.